right, everybody, welcome back in Concrete Jungle New York Baseball Podcast. Paul Russo alongside me, Kyle Evans, behind the scenes, Nate Sharman. Got a really awesome edition of the pod today. Looking forward to it, guys. How you doing? How we feeling?
Doing excellent. Just
Good,
a little tired.
No, aren't we all?
How are you?
Good, fantastic. Nate, everything good behind the scenes over there?
Yep, can't complain over here.
Fantastic.
Just if you want to hear me complain, it's another podcast for another day.
All right, fair enough. So, excuse me, we have going to be a fun one. Postseason baseball is officially here, guys. Day off today for everybody, but excuse me, we'll be going right back into it tomorrow. We'll jump right into that, though, in a couple minutes. We'll begin with the Yankees. A little historical, series in Texas across a couple different fronts. Monday was a 3-1 victory. Luis Severino picked up the win, 7-3 and a 3.18 ERA. Martin Perez took the loss, 12-8, a 2.89 ERA. Sky Frost took the save, fourth on the year. Perez, obviously a different part of the podcast for a different time here in the future. It's a name to probably keep an eye on for both Yankees and Mets into the offseason. Free agent. Severino went 7 innings of no-hit ball, 7 Ks. We'll touch on that in a second. Giancarlo Stanton, 1 for 2, hit a solo home run and walked twice. And Marwin Gonzalez, with just one more impact play before our national nightmare is over, 1 for 4 with a solo home run. But interesting thing happened because Severino, no-hitter. Pitch count was maybe a tad up, but I think I would have probably at least given him the start of that 8th inning if I was Boone.
Yeah, you definitely see where he's coming from, though, in that decision. Because, he's been injured so much over the last couple of years, or a few years, I should say. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I did want to see history, with him, too. But I think Boone was right. It probably would have taken, 115 pitches to get it done, and it just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. Game 1 on Tuesday, doubleheader on Tuesday, obviously. Yankees won 5-4. Aroldis Chapman took the win. Now bullpen moves to 4-4 on a year, 4.46 ERA. Brock Burke took the loss for Texas, 7-5 and 1.97 ERA. And our beloved Lasagna boy, Jonathan Loaizaga, picked up save number 2 on the year. Your top performers, the young guys really coming in pretty clutch throughout this game. Overall, Kyle Higashioka went 1 for 3, a solo home run and a walk. Oswald Perez went 2 for 4 with a solo home run, 2 runs scored, and a stolen bag. And Oswaldo Cabrera also chipped in with a solo shot. So good to see a couple of the really young guys that more than likely at this point I would say would probably be in the starting lineup come opening day next year have an impact.
Yeah, and I think we're definitely going to see one of them in the postseason, and that's Oswaldo Cabrera. Mm-hmm. I think he's definitely played his way onto the roster, especially with Stanton not being able to play the outfield. I think that's big.
Yeah, Game 2, this is where history was made officially. A Texas 3-2 victory, ended up being a loss there. Colby Allard took the win out of the bullpen for Texas, moves the 1 into a 7.29 ERA. Gerrit Cole, the loss, 13-8, a 3.50 ERA. Matt Moore, yes, that Matt Moore, picked up the save, his fourth on the year. We'll circle back to that in a minute. Giancarlo Stanton hit a solo home run and walked, going 1 for 3. But the 2 men of the hour, specifically Tuesday night, Gerrit Cole went 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned, and 9 strikeouts. Those 9 strikeouts enough to put him at 257 on the year. Becomes the single-season Yankee franchise leader, eclipsing Ron Guidry's 1978 mark of 248. Gerrit Cole, excellent. Obviously seasoned all year, certainly had its peaks and valleys, but pretty much the version we've had of Gerrit Cole, albeit maybe a little bit reckless here down the stretch to a degree, is what the Yankees signed him up for, and good to see him obviously hit a very big mark on the K meter.
Yeah, I know a lot of fans, I seem to hate him now all of a sudden, and more times than not, he does give you a nice quality outing, at least a chance to win, and then he has some great games mixed in there. I know they're paying him a lot of money and people expect more, but if you really look around the league, that's what he does every start. It's really not a bad performance.
No. And then obviously Aaron Judge, 1 for 2, hit the solo home run, but that home run in the first inning, not a true leadoff home run, but a game leadoff home run, number 62 on the year, was a solo shot. Had one more at bat before they pulled him to try and maybe get one more, but finally And, you know, like he admitted, right? I mean, the weight of the situation was kind of getting to him a little bit. He kind of saw some frustration in Game 1 on Tuesday out of Judge, but he certainly ended up having a, obviously, what was a great at-bat, that first at-bat, and able to capitalize and become the American League single-season home run leader.
Yeah, after Game 1, it wasn't looking too good, to be honest. Like, I was like, oh, man, I don't know if he's actually going to get this done. And then, you know, with that leadoff home run, I'm like, oh, like, there's just so much relief out of that. And I was just so happy to see it happen. And then, obviously, he's going to get go on to get the final game off, which I think is huge. I mean, he's played 55 in a row. I know there were some off days mixed in, but it was nice to see him just relax on the bench on yesterday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had some fun with it, obviously. I do want to bring up a good point, or maybe not so much a good point, here in a second. We'll cover last night's game and then dive a little bit more deep into this. A 4-2 Texas victory yesterday, Wednesday afternoon, ended up being a true split of the series, which I kind of figured, like I said, we didn't know really fully what to expect going in this. I think the only thing we certainly knew was that they're going to keep judging that lineup until he gets to 62. And that being the case, obviously you mentioned he didn't play yesterday. Glenn Otto, former Yankee farmhand, took the win, 7-10 on the year, a 4.64 ERA, his first full year at the big league level. Domingo Germán took the loss, 2-5, a 3.61 ERA, and Matt Moore got saved number 5. Ended up being a quite an interesting lineup yesterday. Zay Trevino went 2 for 4 with his solo home run. Kyle Yoshioka went 1 for 3 with an RBI, and as well Cabrera 1 for 4. But I wouldn't say topsy-turvy lineup, but you know, kind of a lineup that competitive enough that if they could have won, they could have. They had throw end the regular season at 99-63, first in the AL East. So collectively, a really good season for the Yankees. Obviously, many highs, a few lows that were certainly loud at certain points, but collectively a pretty good regular season for a team that expectations were a little bit all over the place probably going into the year. I know I was on the more negative side of things going into April, but certainly position themselves in the right spot going into postseason play.
Yeah, if you would have told me they would win 99 games, I would be, you know, extremely excited about that. I think I projected 91 or 92 going into the year. So, and I thought a wild card for sure. I thought Toronto was winning the division. So yeah, I'm glad to see them pretty much prove a lot of people wrong.
Yeah. So obviously, you know, with Judge's home run, good to see Zach Hampel didn't get the ball. I think we can all agree that good thing that he did.
I was hoping he would have gotten it, but
You're an absolute psycho.
I'm kidding.
But did anybody? I mean, I saw this. I know after the fact I wasn't the only person who saw this, but did you guys see the guy who? I guess it was a deliberate jump from the stands in between the wall and the stands. At least we're talking at minimum a 10-foot drop, right? Like it's just nuts.
Yeah, after watching John Boy's breakdown of the video, now I can see he actually did jump over on his own. Yeah. But initially, it did look like he fell over.
Yeah, I thought he fell.
No, he literally just jumped over. He thought the person that was going to catch the ball was going to drop it and it was going to fall down.
Yeah, I'm willing to go to bat for that guy. What if the same situation happens with Johnny Lozani and that ball jumps down there?
Well,
that's his ball.
That's a little bit different, though. Toronto's a 20-foot plus ball, I think.
It didn't look 20 feet. Or Texas, anyway, didn't look more than 10. It didn't look more than 10 feet to me.
Texas, I believe, was like 10 foot. But either way, I don't know if I'm risking that.
Yeah.
No, he's fine.
I didn't see it happen on live.
It's worth $3 million, that's for sure.
I carry a lot of inertia when I fall.
Don't we all?
Well, some more than others. So, yeah, but obviously history with the Yankees, obviously this final series, and the Cole one kind of got swept under the rug. Just happened to be the same day as Judge's 62nd, unfortunately. And not a lot has been talked about that, at least team-wise, I feel like, compared to Judge's feat, which to me is equally impressive, right? I mean, like I said, there's a lot of people that kind of went after Cole for no reason, and I don't know, it's tough because it's a lot, in a way, it's a lot like Ron Guidry stuff. I mean, in 78, Guidry that year had an absurd year. I want to say it was like 25-3 or something like that, just a nuts year. But certainly he had to deal with his own stuff and with the fans in a way, and it's kind of weird how history can kind of mirror itself every now and then.
Yeah, I think the best thing with Cole is, I can't even remember the last time he's been on the injured list. Mm-hmm. I mean, what is that, in Houston was probably the last time? Yeah. He's just always ready to take the ball every 5 days. I don't really ever see him miss a start. Yeah, he's not always very effective, but more times than not, he's pretty damn good, and he's one of the best in the league.
Now, obviously, these guys aren't the same, but when was the last time that the Yankees had a guy like that, like Hiroki Kuroda?
I know,
in
I
a way? Like,
can't even remember, like, even,
maybe the end of Tanaka. Tanaka at the end wasn't really on the IL all that much, but
it's just weird because
yeah.
Cole, like, literally never is.
right. All right, so looking ahead for the Yankees, obviously, in the first round of the playoffs here, they'll face the winner of Tampa Bay and Cleveland in the ALDS, but we will circle back to that in a way. But a quick moment on that. Who would you rather see the Yankees face in this series coming up? Because personally for me, and I know some people are going to call me crazy here, I'd rather face Tampa Bay over Cleveland. Cleveland's pitching is really good. I think it does not get talked about enough. And to be honest with you, Tampa Bay's pitching does not frighten me in the least bit overall.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I might say Tampa Bay now, but I don't know. There's just too many times where their pitching shuts them down, even when, like, guys that I've never heard of. Like, it's just, I don't know. Tampa Bay's always giving them trouble. But Cleveland, yeah, you're right. They do have some good starters.
And plus, to me, the cohesiveness of that Guardians team is pretty good.
And they're playing a lot better than they did when these two teams met in, July.
Yeah.
So I guess I would go Tampa Bay, but if they do end up losing to Tampa Bay, like, it won't surprise me because of how they play against the Yankees.
All right, let's transition over to the Mets. A little bit of too little, too late for the pride of Flushing. Monday was rained out for them. It ended up being perhaps a little bit of a blessing in disguise at the time. The Braves ended up losing Monday in Miami, but overall it would be a little bit too little, too late, and we'll obviously dive into why. Tuesday, game one of the doubleheader to make up for Monday's rainout was a 4-2 Mets victory. Adam Ottavino picked up the win out of the bullpen, moves to 6-3, 2.06 ERA for him. Corey Abbott took the loss for Washington, 0-5, a 5.25 ERA. Sugar Diaz picked up save number 32 on the season. It would be his final save. Brandon Nimmo went 3 for 5, 3-run home run, a double, and a run scored. Pete Alonso went 1 for 2 and 2 walks. And Jeff McNeil, bit of a man of the hour, we'll touch on this in a couple minutes, went 2 for 3, a double, a walk, and a run scored. But the night game, a little bit of too little, too late. The Mets taking an 8-0 win, but Steve Novacek took the win for the Mets. 1-1 will be his regular season record. A 2.45 ERA. Paulo Espino took the loss for Washington. 0-9, a 4.84 ERA. Brandon Nimmo, 3 for 3, started the game off for the Mets with a 3-run home run, a double, and a run scored. The Mets batted around in the first inning. Francisco Alvarez, congratulations to him. 2 for 2, first career big league blast. Was a solo shot, also picked up a double there as well. There's our beloved little chonky catcher. But he, good to see him kind of finding the footing again. We talked about him a little bit being one of the top prospects in baseball. And then Taijuan Walker, no decision. He got the start. Pitched 4 1/3 inning, 4 hits, 10 Ks. Maybe wondering a little bit, well, it could have been a pitch count, but not exactly. Ended up being a bit of a, we'll call it a big brain move from Buck Showalter. 5th inning of that game. The Braves officially got a win in Miami, clinched the division. Buck kind of comes out in a way and kind of decides, hey, we'll save my guys as best I can here, and pulls Taijuan Walker.
Yeah, I mean, and the game was kind of over at that point anyway. The Nationals are that bad. I read this morning their worst season in history. I think they finished with, 104, 105 losses.
Which is saying something given some of those teams that they had in Washington themselves and then before in Montreal.
Yeah, so, I mean, just a horrible team. But that was a good series for the Mets to, kind of play a team like that to kind of get, a ton of confidence before, the wild card starts.
Yeah. And then Wednesday, similar situation with the Yankees. Buck had a pretty interesting lineup out there, but you did have some normal guys kind of sprinkle in a little bit. Trevor Williams got the win, moves to 3-5, 3.21 ERA. Eric Fedde, the loss for Washington, 6-13, a 5.81 ERA. Williams went 6 innings, didn't technically get the start, came in at the second inning, but went 6 innings, 6 hits, 2 earned, and 6 strikeouts. Really great appearance by him. Kind of turned it around the second half of the year after some really rough stuff in the first half. James McCann, oddly enough, this is something that deep inside joke, me and Nate were joking about a little bit yesterday, how James McCann would be batting in all 9 spots and playing all 9 positions. But McCann had a big day, 3 for 4 with a 3-run home run and a run scored. Then Mark Hanna went 2 for 4, 3-run home run as well, and 2 runs scored there. So pretty great stuff. But we'll move on to the bigger stuff here for them in a way. 100-win season for the Mets. First time since 1988 in the 4th overall for the team. Those years being 1969, the year that they won their first World Series as the obviously Miracle Mets, the Amazing Mets in 86. 1988, a year that they probably should have won the World Series, and then this year as well in 2022. So I don't know if we want to play a little bit of the prophecy type stuff, but if you're the Mets, you got to be pretty confident with getting to 100 wins and with a 101-61 record. But got to be feeling pretty good if that's the case. Nice little track record when you eclipse the century mark in the win column.
Yeah, I can't remember. I mean, I'm obviously haven't been around that long, but I can't remember a team winning 101 games and not being good enough to win the division. That's insane.
Yeah. I think it certainly speaks to the amount of talent within the NL East this year. I know, obviously, much like the AL East, the NL East has 3 teams into the postseason as well, so that certainly speaks volumes. But also, big shout out to Jeff McNeil, who took not only the NL crown but overall batting crown in the MLB this year, the Squirrel. Got it done. Good little ball player, obviously. I know I joked yesterday on the golf course. The way he chokes up on his bat, I had to choke up. I grabbed the wrong club at one point, like an idiot. So it's a rarity that I do have to choke up on a club in that situation. So kudos to Jeff McNeil. He's we call him really all throughout the year kind of like one of the unsung heroes on this team, even though he really isn't. He's one of the frontline guys that a lot of people just don't recognize him when you talk about, say, the names like Pete Alonso, like Francisco Lindor, DeGrom, and Scherzer. So kudos to Jeff McNeil taking home some early hardware for the Mets.
Yeah, and it sucks that Aaron Judge fell a little short. I mean, that could have been 2 New York players winning batting titles. That would have been kind of cool to see.
Yeah, so looking ahead to the Mets, NL wildcard awaits for them. They face the San Diego Padres. The only information we kind of have on this at the moment with them, the only pitching matchup we know will be tomorrow night, Friday at 8:07. It will be Yu Darvish, 16-8 record in the regular season, of 3.10 ERA against Max Scherzer, 11-5, a 2.29 ERA for him as well. I did forget one point. I don't mean to circle back, but I forgot one point with the Mets. Actually, I do want to bring up because it was kind of late breaking I saw on their website. But kudos to Gary Cohen, who was nominated for the Ford C. Frick Award for the Hall of Fame for next year. So kudos to Gary. He's one of the best play-by-play guys in the game, hands down. And if you have to deal with Keith Hernandez on a weekly basis, then you deserve more than just an award or a plaque in the Hall of Fame. Anyway, back to this. Interesting. Obviously, we only have one matchup. I suspect for both teams on what will be Game 2 on Saturday, it's going to be Jacob deGrom for the Mets, and I presume Blake Snell for the Padres.
Should be.
Obviously, TBA on both fronts. Saturday's going to be a 7:37 first pitch on ESPN. And then Sunday, Game 3, if necessary, a 7:37 first pitch on ESPN as well. Obviously, this is very extreme in the TBA category. I would assume the Padres, I'm not too sure which way they go here. I would assume they'd go either Clevenger or Manaea. But the Mets, personally speaking, I think you go Taijuan Walker there.
Yeah, I would think so too. But I don't think there's going to be a game on Sunday. I think the Padres sweep this series.
Really? I don't think so. I think the Mets get it done. I don't know about 2-0, but I think they get it done. So I think a lot remains to be seen there. So with that in mind, for the first time ever on Concrete Jungle, we are going to be on the move right here. So I will preface it with this. You might hear the mics go on mute here. I don't know how well the mics will deal with us moving around and rustling as we make our way down in front of the desk here and take a look at the MLB postseason bracket. So let's go, Kyle. We are on the move. So this is a pretty interesting thing. I think you look at usually what the NBA kind of does. and the NHL do, right? They have the bracket challenges now, and the MLB this year has officially jumped on board this to do it, where if you get a perfect bracket, you win $100,000. But that's not what our purpose is here. For our purposes, it makes for an excellent job and diagram of showing along who we think will be making along. So obviously, for the Houston Astros, first seed, they have the bye. We don't have to worry about that. Take a look at the first AL wildcard matchup. It's the Blue Jays, the 4 seed. They host the 5th seed Seattle Mariners. Pretty interesting matchup. Personally, for me, I think I'm riding a little bit of the sentiment train a little bit, but I have the Seattle Mariners moving on. I think that's going to be 3 games, though.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think that's 3 games.
Yeah, the Blue Jays have been pretty hit and miss all year overall, to me anyway. And I know the Mariners as well to a degree, but I like the cohesiveness of that Mariners team. I think even recently you kind of see the Blue Jays have a little bit of a locker room stuff kind of poke out and happen from time to time. Like I said, I don't necessarily think that will really happen in the postseason, but I think the cohesiveness plays a pretty big role there.
As a guy who has a future on the Blue Jays to win the whole thing, I disagree.
Well,
that's my analysis.
That's on you, Nate.
How about the Game 1 pitching matchup, though? Won't it be Alek Manoah and then Luis Castillo?
I would assume it'd be Manoah versus Castillo, but I could see it being perhaps Logan Gilbert versus Gosman as well. But that'll probably be the Game 2 matchup, or Robbie Ray even for that matter, because your unvaxxed players can now get into Canada.
Yeah, I think we do have some good pitching matchups in there.
You really do. I think the third game for the Blue Jays gets a little bit hairy at that point, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Barrios hasn't been too good.
Obviously, the Yankees 2 seed, they get the bye. They don't have to worry about moving on. This is the interesting series, though, Rays versus the Guardians. I do have the Guardians moving on here. I think their pitching is just way too good. I think their cohesiveness is just way too good. Like I said, I personally would rather see the Rays move on. I like the Yankees' chances much better against them than the Guardians, but push comes to shove, I think the Guardians get it done into and have a couple days off to face the Yankees.
Yeah, and the Rays are coming off an 8-game road trip, I heard. Yeah. So they have to go right to Cleveland. Yeah,
It's a tough one. Tough, right? I mean, when you have to look at it like that. So we'll move along here, head to the NL side. Obviously, the Dodgers face the winner of the Mets and Padres. We'll do that last, though, for obviously prosperity's sake. The Braves, the 2 seed, obviously, they have the bye. Ended up with the same record as the Mets, but they have the tiebreaker, obviously. This is an interesting series of Cardinals and Phillies. The Phillies do have a lot of momentum right now, but they have been about the most streaky team in the MLB this year. So what team is going to show up to me? I think at that point, I think I'd rather just take that veteran experience a little bit more, who has been more consistent all year. Give me the Cards.
Yeah, I think hint 3, though.
I don't know.
I think the Phillies grab one somehow.
I think I wouldn't disagree. Game 1, where it's probably going to be, I would assume Noah versus Waino, maybe, more than likely. But, yeah, I think push comes to shove, though. I think I'm going to go Cards. Then, obviously, the matchup of the hour, Mets, Padres. Pretty simple. Going to Mets here. I know you disagree. I think it's going to be the opposite. I think the Mets do take 2. I think they take the first 2 right away from the Pods. The Padres, they have a lot of things to work out. I don't think a lot of people really realize that. That lineup can be shaky at times. Their pitching can be really shaky at times. They're a fun team to watch, don't get me wrong, but I think in the grand scheme of things, I think the Mets just get it done a little bit better when it matters most. So
the thing is, if the Padres were to win that, I think they stand no chance against the Dodgers. Or the Mets, I think they have a better shot at trying to knock them off.
Okay, true. All right, so AL West matchup in the ALDS here between the 1st seed Astros and 5th seed Mariners. I really think the Mariners can probably push the Astros to their limits here in a little bit in this series. I think, though, when push comes to shove, the Astros just have a hair bit more still. I do think their window's probably, we're on the back end of their window, but that being said, as long as that window's open, I think the Astros move on there.
Yeah, I would say this is over in 5.
Yeah, I was going to say 4 or 5, I think, there. We'll skip our New York matchups for now. We'll head down to the other NLDS game matchup between the Cardinals and Braves. This is an interesting one. I think I won't say it's a hangover sense for the Braves. They've obviously been really hot down the stretch. That being said, not to play the sinister game. I just have a hard time believing in a way that in what is Pujols' final year, what is Molina's final year, that the Cards don't get it done.
I got the Braves, but
Yeah.
I think it could go either way
I
for
enjoy
sure.
playing the cynical side of things there, unfortunately, a little bit. Yankees Guardians. Again, this is not. I don't like this matchup for the Yankees in the slightest.
I got the Yankees, but and I know it sounds so
This-
damn biased.
This
but,
reminds me a lot of 2017. The whole years remind me a lot of 2017.
oh yeah, it does. That was the matchup.
And in the same round of the playoffs, in the same everything sense of the word,
Yeah, so move the Yankees over, and
I
they're
got-
gonna fall here.
I unfortunately have the Guardians advancing.
I don't see it.
I didn't see it either going into 2017, but I mean, maybe this is the catalyst we get for some needed change with the Yankees, I think. So, shun me all you want, Yankees fans. I am going Guardians there. I just think that's what happens. Here's the interesting one, though, and I think where a lot of people might disagree.
Oh, Dodgers are winning.
Dodgers, Mets, I disagree. I have the Mets advancing. The Dodgers are an interesting team. Their lineup is absurdly good. I'm not going to sit here and deny how good that lineup is. I'm not even going to really sit here and deny how good that pitching rotation can be on a given day. Where I am going to disagree with people, though, their bullpen. Their bullpen is, like, quietly bad. They don't have a true closer right now. They're done with Kimbrel, apparently, in that
Hey,
role.
how about Tommy
They're
Kahnle?
kind
Don't sleep on him.
But that's the thing. They're rolling with Kahnle. They're going to roll with Phillip Evans. I don't trust that in the grand scheme of things when you have a lineup as good as the Mets have been, really, in the past week.
Yeah, I would have Braves, Dodgers, Astros, Yankees. That would be mine.
Yeah, I don't blame you a bit, in all honesty. So, my championship series, anyway, are the Astros Guards and then the Mets Cards. We'll start in the AL. Astros Guardians. Again, I think this is a little bit where people might disagree. I think that pitching, man, the pitching and cohesiveness of that Cleveland team,
Are you okay?
yeah. The
Holy.
pitching and cohesiveness of that Guardians team is really, really good. I don't think people realize how good that team
I feel like
is.
I have like Stephen A. Smith to my side, just going on about stuff.
That's all right. Where you will agree with me, though, is here. I do have the Mets over the Cardinals. I think the Mets pitching really takes off in this
If that
series.
is the matchup, yes.
If that is, right. I think that's where the pitching really takes off in that series. I think you see a lot of really good play from both teams, but I think when push comes to shove, the Mets just have more than the Cardinals do.
If the Yankees do get eliminated, I would prefer Cleveland in the World Series, but I don't see that happening.
And then my World Series, obviously, that I predict will be going on, Guardians, Mets. Folks, history repeats itself. Give me the Mets as your 2022 World Series champions.
I'm shocked.
In 6 games.
I'm so shocked.
That's what I got. This is going to be if you're a pitching fan, this is the matchup I think you really want, in all honesty. Obviously, Scherzer, DeGrom, Taijuan Walker will be probably the 3 going for the Mets. If you're the Guardians, it's going to be probably more than likely Bieber, Tristan McKenzie, and more than likely, as long as he's fully fledged, healthy, and ready to go, Zach Plesac. That's a quietly really good 3 lineup there. I'm telling you, that Guardians team's going to be, I think they make some noise in the postseason, but not as much noise as in the New York Mets. That's who I got.
I'm just shocked. I didn't see that coming.
So,
I thought the Astros you'd put in there for sure.
So obviously, if you want your shot at doing 100K, go ahead and do that. I'm not going to sit here and plug them. They don't sponsor us or anything like that, but it's pretty cool. It's fun that the MLB has gotten in on this initiative, and I got the Mets. I guess I got the Mets here in the postseason. Consider my initial pick of the Brewers is gone, so it is what it is.
I wonder what Nate's thinking on this. Like,
Yeah, Nate, what's
he have a
your
thought?
thoughts?
Does he have a pick?
I love the Mets pick. I'm with Paul here.
Okay.
All right, but how about the AL? Who do you really have Cleveland? Like, let's be real.
Yeah, that's tough. I think the Astros should probably be
So
there.
Astros, Mets.
The Astros just have had the postseason number the last few years.
I'm being honest, outside of Verlander, I mean, the pitching can get pretty hit and miss pretty quick sometimes with the Astros. For as good as they have been, if you want to take a look at some of those splits, they're not the best.
Yeah, but going to Houston's it seems like a whole different story. With
There's
all
no
these
trash
teams.
cans anymore. We ain't got to worry about that.
No, I know, but just the way it is there, like teams just don't do well.
It's true. So
But Jose Ramirez could carry that Guardians team.
it's much
We
more
know
than
he's
Jose.
we know he's
Stephen Kwan better go off too.
we know he brings it against the
You
Yankees.
know who's
that's for
actually
sure.
been the better hitter the past month is former Met prospect Andres Jimenez. He's been really good. And former Met Ahmed Rosario, short. So
Gotta love J Ram.
it's remained to be seen. Yeah, J-Ram probably should still finish top 3 in MVP voting, but it's a different discussion for a different day. So all right, that will wrap up Concrete Jungle for today. Hopefully we can do more stuff like this in the future. It was pretty fun, folks. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Anything fun planned for the weekend for either of you guys?
I'm just excited for all these games, honestly, and football.
So
obviously.
your setup is going to be smoking, I think, by
yeah.
by the end of each day,
5 TV setup, heck yeah,
especially Sunday.
yeah,
Deciding game 3s, your
yeah,
Buffalo
that's right.
Bills.
yeah. Red zone,
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, I might need more.
Nate, anything fun this weekend? A little golf, I think, is in your future, I believe.
Yeah, play some golf tomorrow afternoon. Then get home, settle in, watch Max Scherzer deal on ESPN on Friday night.
Attaboy. That'll be fun. I don't know what I'm doing. Probably
And
watch
Kyle,
baseball.
congratulations on the 100-loss team Pirates. You
Oh,
barely
that's
got
right.
there. They almost
I
did.
know.
They almost won enough.
That's right. You did.
I know
you
they
got
took the
credit for
opener, didn't they? And then they
And
lost
Duhar
game
has been
2.
awesome.
Yeah, 3-hit game I think yesterday.
that. Yeah.
Huh?
All right, everybody. That was Concrete Jungle for today. You can catch up anytime on YouTube, Anchor, Spotify, and other major podcasting platforms. Let's go Mets. When we come back on Monday, it will be the ALDS and NLDS preview. We'll talk to you then. Have a fantastic weekend, everybody.